Welcome back to All Things Acura.
Matt.
I'm Matt. And you're Justin. We got that part almost figured out.
Almost got it down. And this is a show where we're going to talk about Acura news.
Yep, a little bit of Acura
from an
news.
Acura dealership.
That's right. That's what we do. We haven't talked about what we done in a while, actually.
And we just provide what we know.
That's all we do.
And we don't make the cars.
We don't make the cars.
And we don't build them.
And we try to be as honest as possible. And we say things how we think it is. And so we're back again, and we've driven the Integra. We talk about the inventory. It's like, we're running out of things to talk about almost.
Matt, they just came out with the 2023 MDX pricing.
Oh, thank God. All right.
And we're going to talk about that today because there's a lot of people that have those on order. Or maybe you had a 22 and now it's a 23 and you want to know how much more it's going to cost.
Yeah.
So we're going to touch on that, and we're just going to answer a couple comments because there's a lot of comments.
They came in droves, and obviously we always appreciate the comments, and they're great comments, great questions. It's a lot to take in. There's lots of comments, so it's just we want to try to get through all of them. Not going to answer all of them, just can't. But there's some good ones in there.
That first one at the very top of the page there, Matt.
Oh, this one right from Mo?
Yeah, from Mo.
Oh, Mo.
Mo said, to be honest with you, if I have to buy an expensive car, I want it to have navigation. He's referring to the Integra. I don't want to connect my phone every time and use the phone's GPS. Big disadvantage. Well, I'll put an asterisk there. It does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you don't have to connect your phone.
Right.
I do agree with you. It probably should have GPS.
Yeah, we learned a lot when we drove the car the other day. And since we've had the car, we've learned some things, and we had training on it the other day. So there's some things that we learned about the car. And obviously one of the big things, it probably is a big thing because that's kind of, this is a whole model that will not have navigation. None of the packages.
Imagine that.
And it's kind of weird to think about because it wasn't, what was that long ago? Like 15 years ago when a tech package meant you basically get navigation.
Right.
And I think an upgraded stereo, and that was pretty much it. And, obviously the times have changed, and I agree, yeah, you paid that much money for a car, it probably should have built-in navigation, but that's what they went
I think the reality is people aren't using it, though. I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, when I show somebody the navigation, it's like they glaze over. They're like, I don't care. I don't care if it has that, right? They're using their phone, and I understand his point. It's a disadvantage, and if you're somewhere that there is no cell phone service, you are there is a disadvantage. There are things you can do, but I understand that.
Yeah,
I get that. And at that price point,
I'm kind of wondering when. I don't know how many cars are out there that are like that. It makes me wonder. There probably are a lot of manufacturers that have already done that. I'm not surprised that that's the case. I think there is going to be a point. In fact, I was just with Apple CarPlay. There was an article that talked about the next iteration of Apple CarPlay, at least, is going to basically take over all the screens, including.
I saw that same thing. Yeah, and then I think, and from the feedback I see on those articles talking about that, it's like people want that, right? Well, so now you're forcing, or you're kind of telling the manufacturer, not us. You're not telling us. You're telling the manufacturer that you'd rather have that instead of their built-in GPS system. Which, obviously, if I'm a manufacturer, that goes because that's probably a lot of money and time and effort. And,
and that's just about to say that's one of the advantages to not having a manufacturer trying to invest time and money into a navigation system is hopefully that allows them to focus on maybe another aspect of the car. And those navigation systems, I mean, to me, I think they're archaic. And like you said, I mean, when I'm going over a car with someone and I'm showing the navigation system, they're like, yeah, that's great, but how does my phone hook up with that? That's how that conversation always goes. And yes, absolutely, if you're in a place where you're not getting cell phone signal, that is the disadvantage. And But
so that good question. Appreciate it, Mo, for the feedback. If the Integra is not for you, we understand, and same goes for a lot of you that don't care for the. It's we're just here to provide the information.
Yeah.
You don't like the car. You don't like the car. There are lots of cars to pick from. Integra is a nice one, but if it doesn't fit what you're looking for, you don't like it. Just Megs commented on our last one, and she said, "This is so sad that this is America right now. all I see here, she's talking about our desk and in the podcast here is a lot of papers and paper clips.
What's wrong with the paper clips?
An appointment board with no appointments. To be fair, we don't put appointments on there anymore, but I get it. It's empty. And a no button. I replaced the no button with an easy button.
We had both.
We had both, actually.
Yeah,
you just couldn't see that one, Megs.
It was kind of a joke. It was
right.
like, he had the easy button, so we had the no button.
And an empty showroom, and that is a fact. But we do have a couple cars there today, so
We talked a little about that last time. Maybe a sign.
Yeah. And she said she can't believe that this is what it's coming to. We really need to band together to try to, create these things from happening, essentially, in industries. And you are 100% right. How the whole industry, this billion-dollar monster industry, got to this point is beyond any of our knowledge, but it is what it is.
Exactly, yeah. And it really, the car industry is not the only one suffering from that. So, it's one of those things that
There's just
could be something across the board that needs to be done. He's
Dustin.
You're taking the paper clips.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to be quiet, but y'all just decided to acknowledge me.
It's kind of hard to acknowledge the, no pun intended, elephant in the room. So.
Oh, there's a camera.
There is a camera. You can't hide from it.
Oops.
Yeah.
That was
That's
Dustin.
good. Yeah, that is Dustin.
We're just going to leave that in because
it's great. That's part of our daily routine, which is totally fine.
it takes that out. And she also said it's a trucker strike in Taiwan, and again, we're just reading the news that we hear. Fly them out. And it's funny she mentions that because there are a lot of manufacturers that when there is a holdup at the ports have been trying to fly out chips. Unfortunately, this latest, greatest summer production problems is a whole ton of things. Chips are a piece of that, but there are all kinds of supplier problems, and most of that has to do with labor force issues and just a lot of things as we go down.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible. It's such a. I know we had a podcast earlier this year about that, and it was kind of, we did a lot of research on that, but it has now morphed into something that I don't even know anymore. I think either it's still the same issues that we've been kind of dealing with, and maybe hopefully we see the light at the end of the tunnel soon, but I don't know.
Yeah, it will catch up at some point, and we speculating on time frames is getting harder and harder, and every time we do it, time makes us look like we're.
All right, so another blip in the little radar there. Sorry about that. Anyway, going back to these comments, Chan said, I have a June 20th production date on a 6-speed Integra. When should it be done? Justin, when will it be done?
Well, as Meg said, just when they fly those chips over and they land, we will. No. June 20th, that car should be built. They usually give you a window of 3 to 4 days. Right now there's so little with current dates on them. I would think that they're able to build what's in there. And if it has a 20th production date and it hasn't moved, at least as of right now, if you're listening to this, you should be in good shape. That car should get built. Depending on where you're at, then you're probably a week to 2 weeks, from seeing that car. Yeah. Anything right now with a June production date, I think it's pretty safe. There's so few cars with June production dates left that I'm pretty confident that they should be able to build one. They pushed a lot of dates out, and if that was one that they didn't think they were going to get in, it probably would have got pushed already.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot, like you said, a lot of the June ones have not changed, whereas there have been ones that were like July that got pushed back further.
Exactly. Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know if that depends on where you live. I'm not sure if like the West Coast, wherever it might be, if that matters. I know we're not that far from the factory here, and actually, I know, Rick, one of my coworkers, showed me yesterday that in May there was 9 Integras delivered nationally, and apparently we had 3 of those. Did you see that?
That is crazy. We were very fortunate.
Yeah, I don't know if we get them sooner than anyone else for that reason. But
don't tell anybody. But that's all relative. They produce. Obviously there's probably dealers getting them now that we're not.
That's true.
So it catches up to itself pretty fast. We tend to get lucky on those early ones, and that's not always the case. Sometimes they ship them farther away first because they know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. It just who knows? I mean, there's so many, and we had a rep here yesterday, and you try to ask them as many questions as possible. And they hold things close to the chest. Whether they know or not. am I trying to get that information for you guys? But we don't know any better than you guys at this point, really.
Right. And again, we're just being able to pass on the information that we do know from what we see here, which is probably a little bit more than you know, but it's not a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the big scope of things, it changes. It's very fluid, and these dates, even though there are dates on cars, can change without notice, right?
And without speculating. We don't want to speculate too much either, just because then, obviously then we're maybe over-promising something where it's like we don't. Yeah, that's all it comes down to. Thomas
said that the Integra should have power folding mirrors should have been on the tech package, and a dead pedal should be brushed aluminum. I kind of like the brushed aluminum idea on the dead pedal.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that actually, because I think it's like that on the A-Spec
TLX,
yeah.
Right? I'm not a power mirror folding fan.
Yeah,
especially on a car that's small. I get it. You like to show that to your neighbors or whatever. I'm not sure the purpose of them even on a vehicle like that. On a larger SUV, I get it.
Yeah.
There's garage space. There's things that you worry about. So I'm not a fan of them. Maybe there are people. Maybe you like them, Matt. No, and
I don't. In fact, when in the wintertime here, if you live in a state where there's winter, and they build up with ice, it kind of makes me cringe when you unlock the car and you hear this crunching. You're like, you don't know if it's hurting the gears or not, but
yeah, I've seen more, and I won't mention makes and models of cars that have power mirrors that don't work than ones that do over the years.
Yeah.
I like I said, if you need them in terms of space because you've got a tight spot you need to put that car or what have you, but just because I want to have power mirrors when I press the button or whatever.
or whatever.
If there's a lot of things I'd probably like to add to the car, that's probably not one of them.
Yeah, it's not one of them. The home link, that thing, I know we talked about the last time.
Yes, I did want to bring that up. Home
again,
link was
okay.
Well, did we talk about that last time?
We might have just touched on it. It does bother me, and I asked our rep to say, I said, hey, what's the deal without having home link? I mean, every one of our other cars has it, and you said, well, everyone has the button in the car, so what does it matter? I'm like, well, yeah, I get that. There's a lot of people who probably don't know how to program it, so anyway, did you
I guess there's probably a lot of people that have an app on their phone for the garage door now, too.
Oh, he did say that, too. Did he tell you that?
No, okay. I just thought of that.
Yeah, he said that.
As I'm thinking of everybody that wants to use their phone in place of, the stuff in the car. Maybe that's their thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a minor integration.
Right. I almost thought that it was hard to find a mirror supplier that didn't have the buttons already in it.
Totally. Right. That's a great point too. To me, that's not like a money saving thing, because you probably have bins of those ones already. Like, just order that. But again, we digress because.
Don't get me there. There's a lot to love about the Integra. I love the car. I love how it drives. But maybe we should just have a segment on what we don't like about it.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we should just get it all out there in the open. You can decide whether you like the car or not.
Right. Well, and we told the gentleman yesterday that my favorite thing about the car was the way it drove. I think that is the thing that stands out about the Integra is how it drives. And someone, I don't know if you highlighted it here or not, but someone said, for an entry-level luxury car, you can get like a Kia K5 GT with some of those features. And again, I'm always going to go back to this on Akron. I try not to be biased, but people, I think, focus too much on trying to buy features in a car. And maybe it's missing some things, but you're going to look past those things. Those aren't things that are going to matter to you in your day-to-day driving. It's just
and that it comes down to what's important to you. Are the features per se, the buttons, what it does? Can I check, my Facebook while I'm driving the car? If that stuff is more important to you than the car drives, there's plenty of cars out there.
Totally.
This probably isn't the one.
Right.
And maybe even Acura as a brand, because they do focus and put a little more time and energy on how the car drives, specifically on a day-to-day basis, combining the luxury and some performance in there. But it's not going to be a pure performance car, nor is it going to have the top 100 bells and whistles that everybody has.
Yeah, I mean, the great example to point out, and there's lots of examples, but like an NSX, I mean, up until, actually, I don't know if the new one has Apple CarPlay, but I
don't even know if it does.
I don't know if it does either, but we're
going to find out soon, because we got one coming.
So, you don't pay for a supercar to get features, and I only say that, and I know it's a different thing, but money doesn't say, and class of car doesn't tell you what features you should or shouldn't get. I mean, I think like a 1998 Chevy Cavalier had remote start on it,
Sure.
So
yeah.
it's relative. But.
Yeah, and I understand the context. A lot of people are saying, well, it's a luxury car, it's a luxury brand, or it costs this much. And I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yep.
However, there are people that buy cars because of the feature. We see them come in every day. Well, it doesn't have this. Well, did you want to drive it? No, I don't care how it drives if it doesn't have this. Well, then obviously the drive isn't important to
Right,
you.
totally, exactly, yeah. And an Acura's not the right car for those people. And that's okay.
And you can use the industry as a perfect example of that. And I'm going to go back and we'll hit some touchy spots. But the Toyota Camry was the number one selling car for I don't know how long.
Still be.
I mean, a long time.
Yeah.
Might still be. I think some trucks have taken it over.
Interesting.
But might still be. And by no means is the Camry the best driving car. Matter of fact, it probably ranked almost the bottom of the list of dynamic vehicles to drive ever in the history. But it's the number one selling, right? So people are looking for other things other than how vehicles drive.
Absolutely.
And so when you go full circle back to that, if that drive is not important to you, then you can take a lot of these cars off your list. Right?
Oh, easily, yeah, absolutely.
Don't pay for that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then the only thing is I'll say it about the Kia is like, well, then you're driving a Kia, and I know they look nice and you get some stuff, but I'm telling you, and I wish I could have put myself here years ago, because you look at those cars, they don't drive nearly as good after like 2 years, 3 years of ownership, and the amount of recalls those brands have. And I'm only throwing this out there because I hear this way too much. These comparisons with Kia and Hyundai, and it bothers me because I'm like, another recall just came out with the Elantra's seatbelts are exploding. Like, when does it end?
Right.
So
and they have come a long ways. There's no question those brands have come a long ways, and I probably respect them more for what they've come out with recently. But again, going back to how a car drives, oh my gosh, you get one that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. No. You're not buying that car anywhere near because you liked how that drove.
Right.
You never bought it because of that, right?
that's the way it goes, I guess. So
But we'll digress on our rant.
Yes.
I have a 22 Acura ILX. Would you guys recommend upgrading it to an Integra?
Of course, come on and sell it to us. Come on.
I would say, why?
Yeah.
I mean, sure,
Sure.
that's a novel idea, but if you have a 22, even a 21 for that matter, keep that car. Unless you feel that now is a good time to exit out of that car and get in. I'm not sure why you would, but I mean,
it is an upgrade.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about that. But
difference.
it's like too soon. Keep that car for another 2-3 years, see how things go. And who knows, maybe by the time you're ready to get out of your car, maybe there's more Integras and you can get a better deal on one. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I would not give the advice to have you upgrade to that. Now, if you have to have what's next and latest and greatest, or you really love the Integra, there's some good values for cars you can get, probably maximize what you can get out of the car, so it's probably not a bad time to do that. I wouldn't recommend that, and here we are. See, we're the salespeople telling you not to do it, but people are going to do what they're going to do. Whether
it doesn't matter what we say.
It doesn't matter what we tell them.
It doesn't matter. So, and there was one more actually that I don't know if I saw in here. I forget what it was. I wanted to bring up the whole demo thing. I know there was someone that was commenting on the fact that their dealership wasn't. I don't know if they weren't letting them drive their demo unit,
which is really strange.
Obviously, the demo unit is meant to be driven. It's meant to be showed, all that kind of stuff. And the only thing I'll say to that is, obviously, each dealer is, it's their car. So I think ultimately they can do what they want. The other thing I thought about was, when we had that TLX Type S here, and I took that deposit on it. I think we didn't want to have. I think we felt a little differently after we took a deposit that we didn't want a bunch of people driving it. And maybe that's the case there. It's possible that someone said, no, I'm giving you my deposit. I don't really want people driving it, right? And that's a tricky spot too. So
sure, and we'll go back to lots of comments on, by the way, you can't buy one from that because the dealers are marking them up over MSRP.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure there's plenty of dealers asking over MSRP. However, there are a lot of dealers that aren't.
Yes.
I would say a lot, but there are dealers that aren't. I don't know how many or what have you. But again, we've talked to just a few over the last week or so, and none of them were marking it over MSRP. So whether that's just what they're telling us, maybe they're telling you as a consumer something different. The reality is they will sell it at MSRP, and that's what you have to come back to. Is maybe they're asking, and maybe you just need to say, look, I'll be open to one if it is at MSRP or less, and I don't see for less happening very soon, but that could be a thing. And
yeah, and I know another gentleman that I work with here at a different store, the gentleman had said, I don't know if you heard this story, but it was an interesting story because it made me think about how people are perceiving this market. So the gentleman, was telling him that he was getting $3,000 off of a RAV4. And, he was like, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. But, let me know if they are going to do that. And so the gentleman said, yeah, I got $3,000 off a Toyota RAV4. He said, well, show me, I'm curious to know how that happened. Yeah, the salesperson said that. So he brought in his write-up and whatnot, and he bought the car, and they took $3,000 off of the $6,000 markup, and he felt like he was getting a deal. And that was a real thing. And it just goes to show you, obviously, if you're taking money off of whatever the market value is, and they've convinced you that that's what the car is going for.
Right.
I don't know if that's happening in Acura world. I don't know. Frankly, we don't care. I mean, that's everyone's business. But just be aware of that.
Sure. Yeah. Money off does not mean it's a good deal because it's probably maybe too much to start with, especially if it was over MSRP or they had some type of additional addendum or markup on it.
Yeah.
So I don't buy based on savings, and we have a joke with Matt because he doesn't buy based on savings. He actually avoids when there's savings.
I don't like when there's savings.
Typically, there's a problem where this doesn't make sense, and that's our inside joke there. But you're right. Make sure that you have a target and you know what that target is versus just taking something off. And again, I think a lot of dealers are trying. They're trying doesn't mean they're going to get it, and I don't know if that's the case with a lot of Acura dealers. But it's not a general statement, and we see it in the comments. There's hundreds of them that say, "Oh, these guys are just charging." Well, it's not these guys, right? Yeah. But there are a lot of dealers asking, and a lot of them are asking. They're not necessarily saying, take it or leave it. Maybe they are, but again, we hear that, and then we see the next customer walk in the door that has a sheet that says that it's being sold at MSRP.
Yeah.
So. Do your due diligence and look around. If you're not getting the answers you want, go to the next person.
Totally. And I think obviously us being dealers, we don't have any ill will toward other dealers, and if they want to ask that stuff, that is their prerogative. It's their business. And
and you can be mad at the industry, but to go back we're not doing that, but we understand where they're coming from. We're fortunate to have a campus of different brands here and kind of supporting each other up through this whole thing. But when you literally I have an ecosystem or economies of scale that are set up to sell 100, 150 vehicles, and you're getting 10, 15, 20. I mean,
you do the math.
No matter, you do the math. There's got to be that money's got to come from somewhere to support that system and those people and the buildings and all the expenses that come along with it.
And if we were a standalone store, I think it'd
probably be different, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so that's where think about that because dealerships do provide. You see comments about like salespeople, how they're not needed, and that's fine. I get that. I totally understand where people come from with that. But keep in mind, dealerships provide a lot of jobs. Here we have in our whole campus, we have 300 plus employees, like 350 or something like that. So there's a lot of people that supports this local economy, this local area. And if you're just trying to hey, I just want to buy my car from the factory, then you're taking those jobs, a lot of jobs away from people. So it's just kind of one of those things that kind of think about, if a dealer's asking for it, they're asking for it. Are they going to get it? Maybe, but that's up to each person to know.
Yeah, and the other side of that is just waiting, right? If you know that, hey, now's not the time because of that environment, and we know that that's where the environment's at. And back to that same conversation. It's not our industry only. Everything's marked up, and way more than ours. And I know you're cringing out there. You just want to write the comments in there. But I know everything I bought and everything I shopped for. It's not 1, 2, 3, 5% more, 10% more. Yeah. It's 20, 30. 50% more or double. I mean, we're paying double for gas. We're paying more.
Yeah, right. Gas is a great 100% example.
More.
Go complain to the gas companies. And,
right.
Another example is our roof. We're getting a roof done, and we got quotes a couple years ago, and that number is doubled, tripled, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
It's not 10% more than it was a couple of years ago.
It's like 50%. 60%.
Yeah. It's 75% more. So you go from what was it? 150, 200,000 they were charging. Now it's 400,000.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like you said, it's economies of scale. It's all relative. But yeah, we're just here to obviously have a job and make.
Yeah, we just want to provide the information. I get that those are touchy subjects, and you could argue a lot of different points, a lot of different ways, and we're trying not to be really on anybody's side. I mean, we just want to sell cars that come in, and if they come in,
yeah.
On to MDX pricing.
Yep.
So, without further ado, 2023 MDX will probably go into production. They're probably starting it like almost as we speak, right now, because I think there's some build dates at the very end of June for 23 MDXs. That means 22s are really done. There might be a handful of them that scatter in across the country at different places. One thing we were pretty shocked. We were waiting for a pretty hefty price increase because of obviously the cost of things that are out there. Gas. Everything's gone up, and
it's a new model year.
It's a new model year. They have an opportunity to we can really come out with a new price. And to our surprise, across the board, this is for regular, the base, the technology, A-Spec, and advanced models. It went up $1,050.
Yeah, $1,050.
So
and on top of that, remember you get the maintenance.
and again, Acura has not announced or released, so this is unconfirmed. But during the Integra material, they mentioned that all 23 models in the Acura lineup will be getting the 2-year, 24,000 mile maintenance included, which comes with the Integra, and it's supposed to come with the MDX. So getting a normal price increase, because that's almost what they normally mark the car up for just switching model years and getting the maintenance. They barely moved the price of that car. Well, now, to be fair, they've had other price increases over the while, so I think they kind of went conservative there. I was expecting much more than that, so that is a good news. 0 would have been great, but we knew that was never going to happen.
That's
the Type S, since they just had announced that car, has only had a short year, only went up $650.
Yep.
So, and that I would argue could probably barely cover the cost of the maintenance.
That's true.
So,
that's a good point.
So,
unless they're not going to do the maintenance on the Type S,
and that might be.
Yeah, we don't
know that. So, again, $1,050. So I'll give you the example of a technology package. Was $56,595 with the color upcharge, and I'm including that because most colors are
that's right.
Upcharge.
Pretty much that's the only ones they're making, at least.
Right. And so it brings the new price with destination to $57,645, which, relatively speaking, is not much of an increase. So good news for those that have MDXs out there that have moved from 22s to 23s, or you knew it was going to be a 23 all along. Pricing is now here. It's no longer we don't know.
Yep. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's any other thing you want to add to that, but we're happy about.
I think we're
happy about that, which is good.
We are. We're excited.
Obviously awaiting the rest of the inventory, like anyone else who has a car on order. So obviously be patient.
Yeah, we expect to see some inventory. I won't say moves, but kind of some more inventory news in the next couple weeks. If there's anything earth-shattering, we'll definitely get that out to you.
Yep.
Again, keep the comments coming. They all don't have to be over on markup over MSRP and what.
That's right.
We'd love to answer any questions about the car, technology, anything else that you might need, know. We'd love to jump in anywhere we can help there, or just information you feel that maybe we know that hard to find.
Or you can call us stupid or whatever,
Don't encourage them, man. I think they already did that. I think they did that a couple times.
We're just regular humans, I promise.
Right, we are
regular humans.
Real people.
That's right. You can pinch your elbow and there'll never be any pain. You can pinch as hard as you want. A little fun fact for the day.
All right, we'll continue pinching our elbow. We'll catch you next time. Thanks again.
Thanks again. Like and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page. There's some horrible content that I put up on there of myself. So our Facebook page has good stuff. So check it out. And thanks for watching and listening.
Appreciate it.